Welcome to the Tuesday edition of One's World, and as promised I'm going to tell you the story of Rom Saysok, who you have seen in some of my previous videos if you've watched my previous videos, because she is depicted everywhere. She's a princess with very, very long hair, and she's shown with this long hair hanging down next to a crocodile. Well, what's that all about? Let's get started. Well, our story begins in an old kingdom. I believe it's in the post-Angkor period, a small kingdom on what is now the Cambodia-Thai borderlands. And there was a king and queen of the kingdom who had one son. His name was Tkol, and he was 16 years old at the time the story begins, and his parents decided to send him off to a hermit living in the woods to teach him. When he arrived at the hermit's hut, the hermit gave him certain rules that he had to follow, and one of them was that he was not allowed to visit the forest behind the hermit's hut. Now, if you know anything about storytelling, anything about folk tales, or even just common movies of the modern era, you'll know that when somebody is told not to do something, they're going to do it at some point. You remember in Men in Black, the first one, where the two J and K get in the car, the Ford POS, and Will Smith gets told, "Don't touch the red button." Well, you know he's going to touch the red button at some point. All right, so the hermit tells him not to go into the woods, and so of course when he's away doing something, then the prince sneaks off into the woods, and he meets a young woman there, and her name is Sawan Macha, and she's very beautiful, and she has a pet crocodile, and the pet crocodile is sentient. It can talk. His name is Atun, and I guess that's a good thing to have a sentient crocodile as a pet. Anyway, they meet each other as often as they can, and eventually the prince has to return back home after he's completed his studies, and he tells his parents about Sawan Macha, and they just dismiss her completely. They said, no, just a poor woman living in the woods is no good for a prince. We need to get you a princess. And there is a princess in a nearby kingdom called Rom Saysok, so you're going to marry her. And at first Tkol refuses and says he's very much in love with Sawan Macha, and his parents get very angry and say, no, we've already loaded up a ship full of presents for you to take with you to her kingdom. You travel by sea to get to her kingdom, and you're going to marry her, and that's the end of it. So Tkol says okay, gets in the ship and starts sailing out towards the kingdom where Rom Saysok is. But Sawan Macha hears about this and sends her crocodile to defeat the purpose of the prince. And the crocodile I guess is very big and maybe magical as well. He's able to stop the ship from sailing anywhere, and to make the sea roil and bubble. And the people on the ship say, we need to sail, you need to stop doing this. And the crocodile says, I don't obey orders from anyone unless they feed me. So they start tossing over chickens and ducks and a turtle, and Artun just refuses to accept any of them. And so ultimately the prince prays very loud for a rescue, and Rom Saysok hears his prayer, and she dips her magical hair in the ocean, which dries up completely. The water is all soaked into her hair. And this is the bit that I don't really understand. The crocodile dies. It's not like a fish. Crocodiles could live out of water. But anyway, the crocodile dies and is turned into a mountain. And that mountain becomes the mountain Boy, which is, or Crocodile Mountain, which is in that region. And the chickens and ducks and turtle become the Trong Mien, Trong Tia, and On Duck Mountains, which means chicken, duck, and turtle, obviously. So in other words, the crocodile and all the offerings become mountains, which you can see to this day. And so you can go there. It's just not too far. I think it's about 10 kilometers east of Battambang, on the Thai border. And there's a temple there dedicated to Rom Saysok. And as you've been seeing, as I've been telling this story, her image is on loads of temples, and her statue is everywhere, in the city itself, in the pagodas, all over the place. She is one of the central hero figures of Cambodia. And as my sister just mentioned to me, it's interesting that the culture hero of Cambodia is a woman. It's not a particularly patriarchal society. It's very much a patriarchal society. And yet there are some key female figures, not just Rom Saysok, but also Apsaras, who are goddesses and angels and all manner of spiritual beings that are female. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, I guess, but for now, please like, please subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll be back on Friday. Not sure what I'm going to do yet. Maybe cooking, not sure, but have a good week.